Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel and welcome to the second little listening session to some songs from Montesong 2025. In the previous video I checked out the first 5 that were uploaded on the Montesong YouTube channel, and today I'm continuing with song number 6 to 10. The first one of those is called Nova Zora by Tamara Živković, and let's just get straight to it and check what this song is all about. That's an attention-grabbing opening, I think. Cool pulse in the instrumental here, for sure. Strong sound design early on. The effect work is strong. Very crisp sound on the percussion here as well. The cool choir coming in here as well. Feels very dynamic and contrasting so far. Okay. The effect work is definitely there as well. Effective build here with the claps. Sounds natural. Has a very immersive feeling so far. Straight to the point, high in energy. Great build. Okay, you know what? Production on this drop, quite strong actually. The sound inputs are definitely very clear into the mix here. It feels purposeful in terms of the actual impact that a lot of the instrumental inputs deliver here. It's of course one of these cases like how are they gonna perform this live, but as a studio track it's kind of cool so far. A lot of strong effect work, sound design is really cool. These choir sections are definitely characteristic as well. It's a song that you will remember, I feel. It's fun like as well, like they gradually use like automation clips in developing audio, like the volume and panning. The cutoff filter is also very effectively utilized here. Really like the plucky sound of the synths here in the background. Structurally, maybe a bit choppy, I don't know. Feels like the song doesn't really want to lie into its full a full embrace of the actual energy and pulse of the track. A lot of standout moments, maybe not tied together entirely. I feel structurally it's kind of like a copy-paste section because they've got a very cool concept and then it's looped 3 times really, mainly. Would have probably preferred this final. Like that chorus kind of feels like it's leading towards a grander chorus towards the end, like the instrumental continuation to actually expand here, instead of just feeling a little bit like an outro. Because that's really what I feel there. There instrumentally, the final chorus, that feels like it's kind of just going into an outro more than actually developing into something grander and more expansive there. It's a little bit of a letdown in that sense, because I feel like there are so many cool ideas in here. The sound design is definitely there. I think the song has a very characteristic sound to it. It's really fun and refreshing to listen to. A lot of curious effect work that I think works really nicely here. I do kind of appreciate as well the kind of choir vocal inputs that they put throughout the song. It feels very purposeful in terms of the development in each of the sections, but tying these separate sections together as a full runtime of the song, I feel there is a little bit left to be desired here, because it feels very much like they've got the section nailed down, now let's do the same thing 3 times. And not really tying it together, making sure that the song feels like it's progressive. It more or less feels like you've heard what the rest of the song will be after you've heard the first minute. And that's fine, because it becomes something familiar to you and whatnot. But at the same time, I feel like I would have preferred this song to kind of tie into that immersive feeling that I definitely get from the track, in a very atmospheric tone overall that's overarching the whole arrangement really. Maybe it would hit even harder if the song actually felt like it was gradually developing towards something throughout the whole runtime. Right now it feels like it's gradually developing very effectively, may I add, to each chorus, to each instrumental drop, I suppose, and then kind of starting over again. Just that kind of thing is holding it back a little bit for me. At the same time, I feel like this is a very enjoyable listen. I feel like I will return to it, and I really appreciate the sound design. I think the song has a very unique identity to it that makes it stand out among others as well. and it could definitely be a blast on stage as well if they really knock it out of the park with it. I'm curious to find out how it's going to look and how it's going to come across, but right now, cool listen. I will be taking this one with me, and I'll probably return to it. I think it's definitely punchy, it's definitely attention grabbing, and that could definitely work in its favor. Nice effort here, Nova Zora, first song down there. We'll move on to the second one, which is called Minerva, which is by a group called Baryak, and I recognize Baryak because they competed last year. Had one of my favorite songs from the selection last year, so hopefully this one will be no different. Let's get straight to it. Panning from the get-go there, with the vocal being very heavily panned out. I feel like the drumming should definitely be more punchy in the mix there. Compositionally, that guitar riff was cool. The drumming came in quite predictably, as it should, but it should have definitely hit a bit harder in here. Quite interesting how this verse goes together with the rest of, like, with what we were introduced to. I'm very torn on the fact that you actually went with all of that energy in the opening when the verse is gonna be like that. The production of the song is in need of a proper cleanup. A lot of airy sounds just kind of taking over each other. It needs to be a bit cleaner in my ears. Vocal arrangement is cool. It's not sticking with me so far. Has a very melodramatic touch to it, melodically. I like the vocal style it's going for. The riffs are not as clean in the soundstage as they kind of need to be. I love the distortion, but they still need to be very much audible in terms of the melodic input they provide, I feel. And the drumming is kind of felt like it's being put at the very back, considering the riffs are taking up so much of the soundstage here. Feels a bit jumbled as well. What is this, like this part tying the song together? It's like a little intermission, but it feels a bit out of place, and then the guitar riff here comes in out of nowhere. Feels like the song is very chopped. Fading in this kind of hi-hat section here, it's nice. Feels like it's building towards something. The riff is still a bit like inaudible in the actual dynamics here. Yeah, the main flaw I find here is the dynamics for sure, because I don't think the song really pops as much as it wants to do. There's a lot of impressions to take in, but melodically it's not distinct enough, I would say. There we are. Just outro, kind of just leaving the song as it is. Yeah, the main flaw here is definitely the structure, I would say, and of course the production on this one. I don't think that really works as well as they probably set out to do, because this song feels like it has not really been placed together to make sure that it feels like a cohesive unit. It more or less feels like sounds are being thrown at the listener in very distinct, brutal ways, without really kind of making sure that they feel like they're a part of the rest of what's going on there. I feel like particularly in that middle part where the intermission of those pads came in, they completely overtook everything else, really killed the energy of the track, and then to kind of build back the energy of the track, they threw in this guitar riff again that's very high in intensity and in terms of energy, but at the same time, melodically, it's not a very crisp riff, because it feels like a lot of the focus is, of course, on the distortion here, and it feels a bit jumbled in terms of the actual dynamics that it can provide. And at the same time, you hear when this part is actually introduced straight from the get-go, there's no real like effect work or transitional device or anything that kind of leads into this part joining the track. It feels like the detailing here needs to be much more effective, and actually just using more detail, more sound effects, more elements to kind of tie the different instrumental inputs together into the track. Because right now it feels like the different instrumental inputs, they're all laid out in the project, they have their own track parts, and they just put them in whenever they think they should fit in there. But they're not actually being used into the track. There is no kind of attention to detail in tying these parts together to each other, and I feel like that's holding back my enjoyment quite a lot here, as well as the production not really making sure that the dynamics of this track actually are on showcase. Melodically, not something that really stuck into my head on the first listen either. That could of course change the more times I listen to this song, but I will admit, and I will honestly say, that considering the song that they had last year, I'm a little bit let down by this one. But I know I shouldn't entirely compare, you know, songs from what you'd expect from previously, but it's difficult for me not to, like, it's difficult for me, of course, to completely ignore it. However, it still stands out, of course. It's a unique sound, like it's a unique style of music to have in your national final, and I appreciate that they're here. I appreciate that they bring something different, and we'll see how much of a show they can put off within the actual Montesong that takes place, because last year that was one of their main selling points, I would say. So I'm intrigued to find out, but melodically this one is not sticking with me at the moment, and I feel like there's some things that kind of frustrate me a little bit with this listen. So that's that about Minerva, I suppose. We'll move on to Casanova 91 here by Dolce Hera, who of course also participated last year and became a bit of like... a lot of people seem to have found her entry quite funny as well, and mentions it at a lot of places. I think it was called Repeat. Let's see if Casanova 91 will be the same thing. I remember not being a huge fan of her song last year. Let's see if this one will be more up my alley then. Casanova 91, let's take a listen. Quite distinct with the instrumental input so far, that kind of broken synth along with that electric guitar pluck. And then processed vocal effects. Yeah. Production needs work, I can immediately tell that. The percussion has a very strange resonance to it. A lot of loud sound inputs, not really kind of incorporated into the track altogether. The side chaining is not there. Funky little bass walk in the back there. Feels like it has a good groove as well, rhythmically here. And those kind of house piano chords. There's a bounce to the song for sure. You know, this is a fun little chorus. Like, the fact that it's kind of a bit whispery and restrained, and that the song, you know, tries to be this upbeat, funky tune. It's a nice contrast between the two. That kind of makes it quite fun. Also nice how the vocals elevate here in register for the B part of the chorus. That's fun. It has a finger snapping kind of rhythm to it as well. Very, like a foot tapping energy to it. Solid groove. I think the production definitely needs to be kind of updated a little bit, make the song feel more complete and polished. But the song has a nice groove to it, for sure. It's snappy. It's like also the vocal is kind of very much centralized to be to tie everything together, you know. A lot of the focus ends up becoming on the vocal because the instrumental is kind of the same thing all throughout, so the vocal takes a lot of focus on that. The instrumental is just kind of create a enjoyable pulse to it all, and it's effective in doing that. An instrumental continuation here, letting the guitar shine a little bit. That's nice. Good idea. Also, like, the rhythms are kind of being emphasized as well from the strings there. Nice to kind of add some syncopation from that. I think that's actually kind of cool. My foot is tapping. Why not? You know? I was skeptical at first, but I'm being won over by the charm of this. Nice instrumental continuation again. It's predictable in what it does, but it's effective in what it does at the same time. And I like this kind of vocal approach it's going for. Why not? Why not? Okay, so it's not, you know, it's not the most substantial or complex songwriting I've ever come across. It's far from it, but it's just kind of embracing the fact that it's supposed to be an enjoyable tune with a foot tapping energy, just straight into one ear, out of the other one. Have a nice little listen. It's like, it could be very effective as background music as well. And I'm sure they could make a fun little performance of this one as well. It's 3 minutes that just go by and I'm not minding it one bit. I think it's snappy. I think it's straight to the point. I think vocally it tries to be a bit lively and really carry the song through, because instrumentally it's very repetitive, but that fits the kind of vibe of the song as well, because it's just supposed to be, you know, a consistent backdrop to the actual vocal presentation. And the melodies are catchy, the energy of the song is engaging, and I think it's a fun listen. I really do. I'm not sure if this is, you know, something that I consider to be competitive or something that I think should really be highlighted within the jury's scoring books, because I don't think it's a very challenging listen in any way, and they haven't really challenged anything when composing it, in my opinion. But it sticks to the formula and it does it very nicely. It's like just going by the guidelines and kind of making sure that you make something that will be enjoyable and will be accessible as well. Fun little listen. We'll see what they're going to do with it live, but I'm not opposed to this at all. The production needs work, I will say that much, but you know what? I'll appreciate it for what it has at the moment and think that it's not too bad. Casanova 91, huh? We'll move on to the fourth song of today's little listening session. This one is called Dominos by Đurđa. Wait, let me actually double check. Is it? Yes, Đurđa. There's an the letter, the D with the little line on both places. Anyway, Đurđa here, of course, sang the song To Ljubav last year, which was my favorite from the entire selection. I love that to bits. I've understood from what people have said that this song is quite different from that. Yeah, I'm intrigued to find out what it's going to be like. Dominos is the name of it. And if I'm not mistaken, I did seem to think, yes, if you take a look in the description here, there are a lot of songwriters in here. A lot of them are from Sweden, so I think we can expect a certain type of song. I'm intrigued to find out what this is going to sound like, so let's go. Hustler is kind of like sea shanty rhythm to it. Why not? So those strings are kind of straight to the point, rather effective. Structurally, not really tying the parts together here. The instrumental approaches are very different from each other, so it's like 8 bars of this thing, 8 bars of this thing, 8 bars of this thing. Not so sure on that. Quite a wordy chorus here as well. And that's that for the first chorus. Okay, this is... Structurally, I'm having issues with this because it's kind of flat in terms of the way that it's actually played out like that. The sections on their own, enjoyable melodically, characteristic rhythmically. But the flow of this song is quite disappointing. Hey, yeah. Melodically, this is, I don't know. I'm starting to dislike it more and more, actually. Now the more that I hear it, you know? It's too quick in, like, we've already heard 2 choruses. We're not even 1 minute and a half into the song. I feel like I need to wrap my head around this. Everything happens too quickly on this. It's like you're not allowed to have any attention span whatsoever. It develops too quickly, you know? A lot of ambition in sounding grand with no substance behind it, unfortunately. Another chorus, instrumental has been faded out here. We've got the drumming being quite effective in the background here. The builds are effective, but they're too brief. They're not earned, you know? And the key change, why not? It has a kind of an epic atmospheric touch to it, like the sound impression that I get from this chorus. If you just go for a recap clip, this is effective. It's catchy, for sure. So I have so many thoughts about this, honestly. You know, I feel like if you're just going for something that's catchy, straight to the point, you want something that anyone can put on for 10 seconds and actually click with in those 10 seconds, you got your song right here. The problem is, this is not a complete musical piece, you know? This is, it's a pop song, yes it is, but it's a pop song that literally can't actually use a single extended period of time to actually develop something. What is this song saying? Absolutely nothing. That's the feeling that I'm getting. I do not find any substance within this track at all. It's separate sections that are just there for showcase, just there for a bit of fun, just there for a bit of catchiness, but there's nothing underlying that. And I get it, they're not going for that, but it feels so incomplete. It feels so soulless and so just bottom of the drawer, throw pieces together. It's straight to the point. No one is going to care about what we're trying to say with this song, and not every song has to have that, but at least make it feel like it's actually being properly cared for, because this song feels like it has no meaning. It doesn't have any meaning to anyone who's been behind it. It's disposable, in my opinion. This is a very harsh review. I'm terribly sorry about that. But I have a problem with songs that actually do not allow the listener to actually take in what they're listening to. It's 8 bars, this thing, 8 bars, a completely different thing, 8 bars, a completely different thing. Don't tie them together or anything. There's effect work to actually highlight that this is a transition, but the parts have nothing to do with each other. The instrumental approach, like the instrumentation in each part, is completely different from the previous one. Not completely, but it does not feel like it's actually utilizing what you've had before it. It feels like different blocks taken from different things. They're all in the same rhythm, they're all in the same tempo, all good, but the flow, rhythmic flow of it, the actual energy in the track is completely thrown out the window. The chorus is all they care about, and that's supposed to be catchy melodically. It has the rhythmic bounce, it has this sea shanty vibe that's just straight into the ear, will stick there. When you hear a 10-second clip from it in the recap, you will think, oh, this is a fun listen. And then when I listen to it in 3 minutes, or, well, 2:43, I feel like, what am I even listening to? This makes no sense. This is a song that doesn't make any sense. It's there to be a showcase, and that is really unfortunate. When you've already finished your chorus twice in less than 90 seconds, I have my doubts as to how much I kind of can connect with that. I'm very disappointed with this. I feel like it does not have a purpose, and that is sometimes worse than anything else. There's nothing wrong with like the sound design of the track. It's fine. Vocally seems competent enough as well. Has some cool backing harmonies as well, which I kind of appreciate. The key change does what it does. It's attention grabbing, just like majority of the song is. But at the end of the day, I honestly could not care less about a song like this. I'm so sorry, and I'm so sad to be saying this. I feel like I've made up my mind. I might come around to this one. I might change my mind in the future, but right now, I am so disappointed, and I'll be honest with saying that. It is what it is. I'll always have To Ljubavje, and there will be other songs in this national final, of course, that I will return to. Domino's will most likely not be one of them, but if I change my mind, I'll change my mind. Let's move on to the last song that I listened to today, which is called Shadows by Tina Džankić. And this one doesn't have that many views on YouTube, so maybe it's not a big fan favorite, but we'll get to it right away anyway. 251 in length, which seems about right. Then this video should probably land around the same length as the previous one, around 30 minutes or so. So hopefully you're still sticking around and you're watching all of them. Let's now shift our focus to Shadows by Tina Džankić. Let's take a listen. The cutoff filter is activated on these staccato chords. Very heavily processed vocal in the center. A lot of reverb. That's a little bit of a strange vocal line. Rhythmically, it just felt like it collided with itself a little bit. Like an elongated note and then very sudden, Like a lot of notes right after each other. This is kind of a nice build, isn't it? The cutter filter is being used very effectively on those chords, actually. Like the staccato pulse from those house chords. It's nice. It's fading in, it's fading out. Some effect work there, why not? A little bit of detailing. Add some life to the track. Vocally seems like she's kind of selling it as well. Maybe structurally the parts aren't really tying into each other as much as I probably would have wanted them to. Those synth chords are kind of nice, honestly. Pads add a little bit of depth to it. Vocals are straight to the point, they're quite enjoyable, I would say. Nice continuation here, the rhythm works. Percussion sounds pretty good. Solid harmonies in the background, I suppose, as well. Yeah, the parts aren't really tied into each other that well. Like the rhythm, the energy is completely killed here, as you can tell. We've got a piano here. Melodically a bit reliant on the same parts, maybe. Nice chord there, though. Solid progression here. I like that. Add some suspense in there, why not? Resolution is fine. This is a nice chorus, honestly. Melodically, I'm clicking with this. I like the instrumental behind it as well. It's rather simplistic in terms of the composition, but it's effective. I find it accessible, you know? It doesn't scream 2025 or anything, but, you know, why not? Melodically a bit timeless. Those piano chords are kind of nice. That staccato bounce, very house-like. Got an actual outro this time as well. Some piano outro there to kind of just tie together the whole thing. Oh, whoops, okay. No, you know what? Shadows here then. I don't think this is really going to be a song that I'm, you know, going to be thinking about a lot, but I will admit that I think everything came together quite nicely in this one. It feels like everything's quite competently done. Transitionally, maybe not so much. I feel like the song is not very consistent in how it wants to maintain its energy, in how to tie together the flow of the track. But those choruses will stick in my head, I have a feeling. They have a nice kind of uplifting quality to it. There's a lot of brightness in there, quite a bit of warmth in the sound design as well. And it feels like one of these accessible choruses that will just, you know, be kind of foot tap friendly. Have a nice vocal line in there as well. I feel like she sings this really well, and I'm interested to see how it's gonna look live and sound live, because I feel conceptually there are cool ideas in here, and it's a rather solid pop tune at the core of it. You could think like the actual instrumental approach they're going for is maybe sounds a bit dated, because it does. It does not scream like a 2025 song, but for me that's not a problem. I don't know, for you it could be, and for others it of course could be as well. But I feel like there's definitely a point to this song where I feel like everything comes together in the way they wanted it to. The flow is not perfect. I will definitely say that, and I think there needs to be some work into this. I mean, if this for some reason would end up winning Montesong, which I don't think will happen, but if it does, you know, I would definitely be hoping for a revamp to this track, because I feel like the different parts need to tie together nicely, much better than they do right now. Maybe the sound design could pop a little bit more with some polishing in there. Vocally, I think the song has a lot for it, and melodically as well. There's a nice concept to this song. It's not fulfilled, it's not fleshed out entirely, it has not reached its full potential, but it's definitely there and it's enjoyable for me. I'm thinking that it's quite a fun listen. I think that I will listen to it again, and it will, you know, have my hand tapping on the table or whatnot. Could be in like a very accessible tune. You know, you could blast this in the car and just, you know, it's decent enough to just be on in the background. I don't think it really grabs my attention super much, even though it tries to have these kind of grand and upbeat choruses, while also having a little bit of, what would you say, like a solid backing track, really, with that kind of electronica approach that it's using. Yeah, decent all around. I'm not sure what else to say really about it. I feel like it's very much just competent in many areas, needs in need of some polishing in others. Vocally, I'm optimistic about it, and we'll see how it's gonna go for it. But it's not too bad, not too bad at all. And yeah, nice one to end it on, I suppose. That's the end of the second Montesong listening session. I will admit, overall in today's session, I feel like I'm a bit underwhelmed considering I quite enjoyed the first group of songs, the first 5. Maybe not all of them that much, but I feel like overall there was more for me to gravitate towards in that one. Or maybe I'm just kind of a little bit let down by both the effort from Baryak and from Đurđa, who were my 2 favorites last year. Maybe that has kind of just affected my mood, because if I'm completely honest, I do think that those 2 were probably the weakest songs within the 5 that I've listened to today. Maybe I'm completely on my own in having that opinion, but it's definitely 2 that disappointed me, and particularly Đurđa's song, which I have a problem with. I actually really do. I do not approve of that one, but that could, just be a me thing, and I could of course warm up to it. But for now, that's going to be everything. There are 5 songs left that I will be listening to in the next video, so be on the lookout for that if you're interested. Regardless of anything, thank you so much for joining me today. Hopefully I have not offended anyone with my takes today. And if you completely disagree with something I said, you be sure to let me know in the comments, because I want to know how off I am on like the general opinion or on your opinion solely. Because that's all the fun of Eurovision as well, because we all think differently. But these have been my takes for these 5 songs today, and hopefully I've made them I've come across in an understandable way, even though you may disagree with what I say, because I feel like just looking at the viewing numbers, maybe Đurđa's song there could be a little bit of a fan favorite, and I would get it. It was catchy, but it was not for me. That's everything for today. Please join me for the next one as well if you want to. Take care of yourselves until then though, and bye bye.